There are riders who talk to their machine with so much affection, it seems like they expect the bike to say hello back. It's a very tender mechanical romance. However, nowadays, many are still killing their engine by following advice from internet experts who have never used a real tool. Today we reveal the 12 fatal errors that are destroying your bike from the inside. Don't skip error number 1, because it's the most common and costly mistake. Let's begin. Error number 12. Always riding with the tank nearly empty. Most people think the only risk of riding with low fuel is running out of gas, but there is a much more unpleasant consequence hidden in the tank that is wearing out your entire fuel system every time you ride on reserve. The fuel pump isn't just a pump, it also cools and lubricates itself with the gasoline it's submerged in. When you habitually ride with the tank almost empty, that pump runs hotter, wears out faster, and is more likely to fail, especially on modern bikes where repairs are neither cheap nor easy. But that's not the only problem. The bottom of the tank is where all the gunk accumulates. Sediment, rust, particles, water, and even microscopic debris. When the fuel level is low, the pump starts sucking that crud from the bottom like a milkshake. Over time, that garbage clogs filters, dirties injectors, and causes weird performance issues you can't track down. Error number 10. Tightening bolts like your Hercules. If you've ever snapped a bolt inside the frame or crushed a washer like a soda can, congratulations, you've just joined the club of those who think tight means as tight as humanly possible. Over-tightening is one of the fastest ways to damage your bike, and it's more common than you think. Axle pinch bolts, triple clamp bolts, drain plugs, handlebar risers, everything has a limit. Metal is only so strong, and threads are only meant to withstand so much. Tightening beyond the specification isn't being thorough, it's destroying things. And here's the trick, it doesn't always fail immediately. Sometimes the damage builds up over time. You do maintenance 6 months later and realize the drain plug threads are stripped, or the fork pinch bolts have cracked the lower triple clamp. Now you're looking at installing a helicoil, replacing cast parts, or calling a tow truck. Worse yet, on high-stress parts like the front axle or brake calipers, over-tightening can cause fatigue fractures and unpredictable failures. Error number 11. Using a pressure washer like it's a magic wand. There's nothing like seeing your bike gleaming and clean, but if you use a pressure washer like it's a magic wand, congratulations, you might be slowly destroying your motorcycle. Pressurized water is great for removing mud from a dirt bike, but on a street bike, it's a silent killer. Bearings, switches, seals, connectors, none of them are designed to withstand a high-pressure water jet. That spray gets into places it should never reach, washing away grease, corroding metal, and causing electrical shorts. I've seen people destroy perfectly good bikes in a single afternoon with a pressure washer, completely clueless. Then they scratch their heads wondering why the speedometer flickers, why the bike idles poorly, and why the headlight only works on Tuesdays when it's humid. Spoiler: your cleaning session flooded the entire wiring harness. Even if it doesn't fail immediately, water that gets into wheel bearings or pivot points can displace grease and cause premature wear. Add some time, some heat, and boom, your perfectly clean bike is now perfectly seized. To clean your bike properly, use a hose with gentle pressure, degrease carefully, and avoid spraying directly onto switches, chain links, radiator fins, or anywhere you wouldn't pour a glass of water. Dry it by hand, leave it thoroughly dry. Clean is fine. Destroyed electronics and pitted bearings, not so much. Error number 9. Ignoring chain alignment. Most riders think adjusting the chain is just about setting the correct slack. They eyeball it, maybe wiggle the suspension a couple of times, and call it done. But if your rear wheel isn't perfectly aligned with the front, you're slowly killing your chain and sprockets, and you might not even realize it. Misalignment creates uneven wear. One side of the sprocket teeth starts grinding harder than the other. The chain rollers don't seat cleanly. Over time, you get premature stretching, dry shifting noises, and irregular tooth wear that destroys a perfectly good set of components long before their time. And it doesn't end there. Poor alignment also messes with handling, introduces strange stress into the swing arm and rear axle, and can even make the bike feel twitchy. or pull to one side when accelerating. Those marks on the swing arm are a joke. If you rely on them to align your wheel, you might as well use a sundial to set your ignition timing. You need a proper chain alignment tool, a laser, or at least a method using a very straight ruler to do it right. Error number 8. Leaving brake fluid unchanged for years. Brake fluid isn't wine. It doesn't get better with age. In fact, it's hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air over time, even through your supposedly sealed system. That moisture lowers the fluid's boiling point and turns previously responsive brakes into unpredictable nightmares when they heat up. And here's the bad part. You don't even notice the problem during normal riding, only when you're descending a mountain pass, making emergency stops, or riding hard on a hot day. Then you notice it. The lever goes soft, the brakes fade, and you realize too late that you have vapor in your lines instead of hydraulic pressure. Old fluid also corrodes internal brake components. Caliper pistons, master cylinder seals, ABS pumps. Everything starts suffering once moisture gets in. And unlike pads or rotors, you can't see the damage until it's already expensive. Error number 7. Using any coolant. Coolant is coolant, you think. You pour in the green stuff, the engine stays cool, job done. And that's how you end up with corroded passages, clogged radiators, and mysterious overheating problems that seem to come out of nowhere. Not all coolants are the same. There are huge differences between organic acid-based, phosphate-free, and so on. Plus, motorcycle engines aren't car engines. They have different metal alloys, tighter tolerances, and smaller cooling systems. Some coolants are too aggressive, others don't protect aluminum well, and mixing the wrong types is a chemical disaster waiting to happen. This isn't just marketing. If your bike has a magnesium or aluminum cylinder head, you need the right inhibitors in that fluid, or you're setting yourself up for internal corrosion. And don't even think about topping off with tap water. The minerals in regular water build up scale and destroy the system over time. What's the right move? Read the manual. Use motorcycle-specific coolant if the manufacturer requires it. Distilled water if you need to dilute, and flush the system every few years, not every few decades. Error number 6. Storing the bike with the clutch lever tied with a rubber band or zip tie. There are people who think it's smart to store their bike with a rubber band or zip tie holding the clutch lever in, supposedly to keep the plates from sticking or to relieve system pressure. It sounds harmless, until you come back months later and realize the clutch feel is dead, or worse, the hydraulics are fried. If you leave the clutch lever pulled in for long periods, especially on hydraulic systems, you're keeping the entire actuation system under tension. That means constant pressure on the seals, slave cylinders, and master cylinder internals, which were never designed to be stressed like that for weeks or months on end. And if you have a cable clutch, you're unnecessarily stretching that cable and keeping the springs compressed the whole time. Error number 5. Mixing old and new brake pads. This is one you almost never hear about, but it can quietly ruin braking performance and wear out components faster than you think. Some people try to save a few dollars or get lazy during a quick replacement and end up mixing new pads with old ones, especially if they only change one caliper or just the more worn pad. It sounds efficient, but it's not. Pads wear as a set for a reason. They bed in together against the rotor, develop a matching surface profile, and transfer a consistent layer of material on both sides. Throw a new pad next to a half-worn one, and you've just guaranteed uneven pressure, unpredictable bite, and uneven heat buildup. That rotor will wear strangely, the brake feel will be odd, and in the worst case, you'll get vibrations or even glazing. Even mixing 2 new pads from different brands or compounds can cause problems. Change pads as a set. Always clean the rotors, bed them in correctly, and keep your braking predictable, powerful, and safe. It's not just about saving the rotors, it's about not ending up inside a van. Error number 4. Ignoring spoke tension until one breaks. If your bike has spoked wheels, whether it's an adventure bike, a dual sport, a scrambler, or even some retro-style nakeds, You need to hear this because ignoring spoke tension is like playing Jenga with your wheels. Everything seems normal until it suddenly isn't. Most people think spokes are a fit it once and forget it item, but over time they loosen, maybe not all at once, just a few here and a few there. You hit enough potholes, land a few jumps, or just ride with bags tied on the back, and those uneven loads start throwing everything out of whack. Before you know it, the wheel is no longer true. The tire wears unevenly, and in the worst case, you crack the rim or snap a spoke completely. Now you have a time bomb underneath you. The solution is easy, but almost no one does it. Check spoke tension regularly, especially on bikes that see rough roads. A cheap spoke wrench and 5 minutes of your time can save you a $1,000 wheel repair or a crash. Don't wait for the wheel to start wobbling. Check the spokes before they check you. Error number 3. Lubricating the chain after the ride, not before. This is one that most people do backwards. They come back from a ride, park the bike, and right before going inside, they spray some lube on the chain, thinking they're doing maintenance and deserve a gold star. Well, no, that's not the time to do it. It's the time not to do it. Chain lube needs time to settle in. It needs the chain hot to penetrate properly and needs a few minutes for the excess to fling off before it starts collecting every particle of dirt like a rolling fly trap. When you lube the chain after a ride with the chain hot, you're evaporating the solvents before they can do their job. It evaporates too fast, doesn't penetrate the rollers, and just ends up throwing lube all over your wheel the next time you ride. That's wasted product, wasted effort, and usually a rear wheel that looks like it's been in a grease fight. The smart move is to lube right before you head out to ride. That way, the chain is cold. The lube can absorb well, and your next ride distributes it evenly while naturally flinging off the excess. Error number 2. Leaving the bike in first gear during long-term storage. This one sounds harmless, even smart. You park the bike in the garage for the winter and leave it in first gear so it won't roll away. Makes sense, right? Well, not really. When the bike sits for months with the transmission engaged, especially on older or high-mileage gearboxes, you're putting constant pressure on the shift forks and gear teeth. It's not enough to cause immediate damage, but over time that static load, especially combined with temperature changes and condensation, can cause pitting on gear faces, shifting fork issues, or even weakened seals. You're also asking for clutch drag problems when you go to start it in the spring. Ever started a bike, put it in gear after a long layoff, and had it lurch like a startled horse? That's how garages turn into crash scenes. And here's the worst part. If the bike is properly stored on a stand or with the wheels chocked, it's not going anywhere, even if it's in neutral. Error number 1. Leaving a battery charger connected all winter without monitoring. Everyone has heard the advice. Plug in a maintenance charger for winter storage. And yes, in theory, it's correct. But in reality, leaving your bike with a maintenance charger constantly connected and unsupervised for months is a perfect way to cook your battery from the inside. Most cheap maintenance chargers don't actually shut off. They just keep feeding a low voltage constantly. And if your battery is already fully charged, that extra current doesn't just disappear, it slowly boils the electrolyte, dries out AGM cells, and shortens battery life. In some cases, you'll roll into spring and find the battery looks fine, but won't hold a charge worth a damn. The smarter move is to use a true battery maintainer, one that monitors voltage, it cuts off automatically, and only kicks back on when needed. These are smarter, safer, and far less likely to fry your battery while you're cozy at home. And if your bike has a lithium battery, a regular maintenance charger is an even worse idea. Those require special chargers, and overcharging them can cause swelling, damage, or even fires. The moral is not to confuse charging with smart maintaining. One helps your battery survive the off-season, the other slowly kills it while you think you're doing the right thing. Now you know, and you have no excuse. If you have any horror stories of your own with your bike, blown engines, warped rotors, cooked batteries, leave them in the comments, and let us all learn the lesson without having to live it firsthand. And if you're one of the few who has never made any of these mistakes, either you're lying or you should be teaching a master class. Hit like, subscribe, and remember, your bike doesn't ask for much. just that you don't slowly kill it. Ride smart, use your head, and I'll see you in the next one.